Hello and welcome back, adventurers. As you have already guessed, Invidia is not terribly civilized, and to demonstrate it further, let's take a look at its cities. The realm's capital lies on the northern bank of the Noisatu River. A decaying town, Karina is kept alive with trade from Borovia, Falconia and Borka. Its docks crowd with small merchant vessels, taking on and unloading cargo. Although the town looks and feels deserted throughout most of the year, its population swells to as much as 7,000 during its Harvest Carnival, a week-long festival that ends with the first full moon of each October. So famed is this revelry that it draws affluent celebrants from across the western core. Architecture is typical of the realm. Tall, narrow buildings with steep gabled roofs packed together in seemingly random order. Karina streets are a confusing labyrinth, and outsiders may wander for hours before finding their way out. Or worse, into the thieves' quarter, from which they are lucky to emerge with only their purses missing. Divided in two by the north-south Tower Road, Karina's wealthy eastern half is inhabited by nobles, merchants, and more prosperous members of the middle class. West Karina is more jumbled, dirty and dangerous, crowded with crumbling buildings, slums, and burnt-out ruins. This side of town is home to criminals, madmen, and sometimes even worse. Towering above the twisted streets is the Citadel, the city's administrative center. An ancient-looking fortress of black stone, the citadel has grown in recent years, and the main structure is now surrounded by a tangle of wooden structures. Some sections of the structure have fallen into disrepair or show signs of having been gutted by fire, but Moloch has better things to do than renovate and abandons older sections as they fall out of use. It is said that much of the place is haunted, especially by the ghosts of those who perished when Bakholis was overthrown. At the corner of the citadel is the dreaded Black Tower, where Moloch's enemies disappear and rarely, if ever, return. The tyrant is known to employ a squad of especially accomplished torturers, several of whom were trained in the dungeons of Vlad Drakov. Passerby claim that the screams of Moloch's captives can be heard from the street down below. The city's other best-known landmark is the tall yellow granite clock tower, known as the Goldfinger. Built by and a home to an old hermit known only as the Engineer, the tower has a large clock on each of its four faces, and is invaluable when negotiating the city's winding, twisting streets. The Engineer is an expert clockmaker, responsible for building all of the clocks presently in the city. Years have passed since he last left the tower, and the place is now patrolled by Moloch's guards. Nobles and wealthy Invidians live on the east side of town, where one also finds the Art College, a small but exclusive art school that has drawn students from as far north as Darkon. The poverty and danger of the city increases the further west one goes from the Tower Road. The westernmost slums are the worst. Here, the city's small but efficient thieves guild holds sway. Karina's most infamous resident is also its most mysterious. The fearsome midnight slasher has plagued the poor section of Karina for nearly 20 years. Rumored to be a cloaked madman who wishes bloody vengeance upon all who would harm children, including Gabriela Dere, the slasher appears to have committed a rush of murders and senseless crimes in Karina and all around it. The only other Invidian town worthy of the name lies northeast of Karina, along a great curve of the Masardi. Its docks are nowhere near as extensive as Karina's, but they are just as busy. Querculus has steady grown in importance and prosperity, and numerous new warehouses have been built to house the trade goods unloaded from its docks. The rivalry between Karina and its upstart neighbor grew increasingly bitter during Gabriel's inattentive reign, with many accidents blamed on sabotage. Current mayor suspects that dark days are coming, and so hired his own mercenaries, independent of the Invidian military, to keep order in the town. The core of the town is much like its larger neighbor to the south. Tall buildings crowd together in picturesque chaos, narrow cobble streets wind in seemingly random directions, and numerous shoppers offer a wide range of goods. Beyond the central part of the town, Quercula is less claustrophobic, with wider and straighter streets as well as smaller wood and plaster buildings, usually no higher than 2 floors. Once the center of the Gundarkite strength and national unity, old and decaying Castle Hunadora became the rallying point for the increasingly militant Gundarkite separatists. Since 750 Barovian calendar, this fortress continues to plague Moloch, festering like a sore in the north of its nation, defying his mighty army and serving as a constant reminder of the tyrant's failure to dispose of his detested mother. About 200 Gundarkite rebels usually occupy the place, and the surrounding woods and the countryside are dotted with the concealed camps of sympathizers and refugees of all sorts, including select Vistani who have declared common cause with the Gundarkites. The castle sits atop a constructed mound of earth, its dark stone keep surrounded by a square curtain wall and a wide moat filled with dark, stagnant water. Slithering things occasionally ripple the moat's oily surface, but despite having held the castle for more than 7 years, the rebels have yet to expose many of Hunadora's dungeons, sewers and hidden passages. Numerous devious traps and pitfalls remain untriggered throughout the castle, a remnant of its former masters. The rebels disarm those death traps as they find them, but more than a few lives have been lost in the process. Gabriella Dare resides here and has appropriated the entire keep for her personal use. Since her seduction of the Gunrakite leader Ardong Zerieza, the Gunrakites have grown more confident about her leadership, or at least have kept their complaints to themselves. Madan's Vulverays occupy the woods to the north of the castle, and he has given them strict orders not to prey on the Gunrakites or Vistani. Instead, they periodically emerge to raid farms and settlements, carrying off captives and supplies for the army. So far, neither the Gunrakites nor Malokio suspects the Vulverays' forced existence, but this may change should the open warfare break out. Thank you so much for your time, patient listeners. I hope my extensive exploration into Invidia has convinced you to avoid this backwards realm. But if you still want to make Ravenloft a better place, be careful while crossing the mists.